welcome to another episode of the Ferret64 podcast with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferret64 is, of course, the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. And today we're going to try and do another shorter episode. As you can see, things are changing, and it's kind of sad. So I'm going to record this episode and try and forget about my problems for just a little while. Let's go ahead and talk about what have I been playing this past week. This week I've been playing a game called Berry. Berry being the fruit, bury being like digging a grave or burying something, and berry being a fruit. Berry. This is an incremental game where you harvest fruit from an ever-growing plant, and you throw that fruit into a hole, and it spits out coins. And depending on how luscious the fruit is, how rare the fruit is, I guess, you get more money. You start off with just blueberries, which give you like $1. And it goes all the way up to watermelon, which at that point I wasn't really paying attention to how much money I was earning from each watermelon, but it was quite a lot. I was getting about $500K to $1 million every day. I think even more than that, actually, because put that into my real bank wallet, am I right? Yeah, I think it was even more than that with all the buffs and stuff that I had. But yeah, essentially that's the idea, is you throw the fruit into the hole gives you money, and then you can also buy these little like berry buddies who walk around. They produce more fruit, but they're kind of walking around. You have to kind of chase them down. You get like a vacuum upgrade, and you get like a little gun upgrade, and the idea of the game is to manage the fruit while also managing the hole, because if you fall down the hole, you lose pretty much all your money for that day, and then it resets you. And the days only last like a minute at the start of the game, so you're not really getting a lot of money. But as you continue forward, that is where you start to get higher price things. You can buy upgrades to make the day last longer. And as you work with this hole that gets bigger as you put more fruit into it, you learn that it can actually move around. You can actually point it to where you want it to go. It'll move that direction. And it has a limited range at the start, and if you feed it more berries, the range extends a bit. So the idea is to move the hole around the map and gobble things up, almost like Donut County. Donut County, right? Or country? I think it's Donut County. Where you kind of move the hole around, you get items into the hole, and then the items give you these star bits, and you break open the star bits by either throwing them or shooting them with a little gun you get. And you can use those star bits to upgrade your berry buddies. So they start off as a blueberry. You can transform them into strawberries and peaches and all the way up to watermelon, of course. So that's kind of the main gist of the game, and it's actually really entertaining, especially as you start to go around the map and figure out how am I going to consume this giant truck with the hole? Like how many more fruits do I need to put into this thing to get that size? And of course, like all the different upgrades you can get special moments where like berries produce 1 per millisecond or whatever. It's a lot of berries. Or you can have like coins spew from the hole like a fountain. There's also a sledgehammer that you can break walls, and so you expand the map and you find more items to consume. And there's a whole bunch of different things that you can get with the upgrade system. And at the end of the day, the main goal is to get the star key, which is 5 million coins, and that unlocks the ending of the game. But leading up to the ending of the game, you want to collect cassette tapes and audio recordings to learn about the mysteries about what's going on, because there's this ominous like star person who is watching you, and there's like this background story where this person, they had a kids TV show, and it was like taken off the air and blah blah blah. So there's like a little bit of a horror element in quotation marks because it's not really that scary. And I've beaten the game, and I know that at the very end of this game there is like the cheapest jump scare ever. It's not even really scary. It's just the person's like star face with the drawn on eyes and mouth, and it just appears on the screen with loud noise. And I was like, okay, well, like we really could have done something different here. Now I know there are multiple endings to this game, so obviously I didn't get the best one probably. But at that point, I was like, I really feel kind of like I've seen what this game has to offer. I've done my fill. Let's just go ahead and get the star key and open the door and end this game. And there is a way to reset everything. So there's like a $50,000 worth like reset. And what it does is it resets all your upgrades, but it lets you keep your berry buddies. So if you've upgraded all your berry guys to watermelons and you restart again, on restart you keep all of them walking around, and then you also get to upgrade them more with the various items, because I think it's like 999 star bits to level up a watermelon guy, which I never got around to doing because there's not enough items for that if you're trying to upgrade all your buddies. And then also what happens is the growth rate of the fruit increases as well. So you get more fruit, you get more things to consume, you keep going, you find all those cassette tapes hidden around. So at the end of the day, it's a fun little time. It's not like the greatest game ever, but it is pretty fun for an incremental game that doesn't really have much going on at the beginning. It really does become something more than what it is, and I was really enjoying myself while playing it, and it was a nice little distraction to kind of boot up at the end of the day and play a couple hours of. And I'm not saying that like Arc Raiders or something else is not a better distraction, but it was a nice distraction for the days where no one was really around and I was able to kind of, just chill out. Because it does have a pretty good soundtrack. It's a bit repetitive, but it got a pretty good soundtrack, and I think the gameplay loop is fun enough, and it's not too bad, not too bad at all. So if you want to check out Berry, make sure you do that on Steam. I think it's like a $10 game. I don't even think it's $10. I think it's like $5 or so game. Not too bad at all for how much time I put into it. And at the end of the day, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed my time with that. I played a little bit of that Karen game, Karen. I find it very interesting. I haven't finished it yet. And then also, I've just been playing the regular things right now. What I'm trying to do right now is like play one game, and right now Karen is like the next one on the list to kind of just play. Because I don't want to like switch around to a bunch of games like I did last year. And not even last year. Like I always am switching around games because new games come out every week, So what I want to do is like I want to finish a game and then move on to the next one. I don't want to sit here and like play 5 games at the same time or 7 games at the same time. Like there's obviously games that I'm playing that are like long-term games like Arc Raiders and Pokemon, but for like the new releases this year, I feel like it's a good idea to like focus on a game, play it. If I'm not enjoying it, then yeah, just either get a refund or move on. But if I am enjoying it and I like the gameplay loop, I think that it's a good idea for me to just kind of play that game. Now for longer games that are coming out like Neo 3 brain fart. I don't know if I'm going to pick that game up right away, but if eventually down the road I do plan on picking it up. And that's not like a game where I'm just going to play over and over and over again every day. I'm going to try and like slot in smaller games with longer games again too. And then once we get back to streaming, which will probably be when I move houses and get my setup working at wherever I go. Actually, I might try and do a stream here or there as well, because I kind of want to finish off what we're working on right now, Yuka Replayly, and I can't play the JoJo Siwa game. I had to pack all that stuff away, but I do miss doing the streaming, but I'm not really in the right mind space to do it right now. Maybe next week during the week I'll get there, but just doing this is a good start. Just doing the podcast here is a good start, and we'll keep moving. And and see where life takes us. But that's besides the point. You're not here to talk, to listen to that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and move on to what's in the news and what's coming soon. All right, this past week we had a partner direct, a Nintendo partner direct. And usually with these partner directs, a lot of people don't enjoy them. I think this one was fine. I'm not going to sit here and like blow smoke up its ass. I thought it was fine. I thought it had some nice little things going on here. We actually had Switch 2 gameplay for a lot of games that we didn't have before. In general, it wasn't the best direct ever, but also like it is still a partner direct, so I'm not like expecting big, huge reveals. Some people would say like it was a little bit too much of the same stuff showed off again. And I tend to agree with that sentiment, but let's talk about what happened here. So the showcase started off with Orbitals, which is the new co-op anime, like 90s anime-inspired co-op game where you play as two characters who need to team up after their ship is stranded somewhere. And this is an asymmetric two-player co-op game that supports local split screen or online with game share. That's right, only one person needs to buy this game. And the main thing here is like it's very heavily inspired by It Takes Two or Split Fiction, but it's obviously this game was in development before Split Fiction came out. But it's obviously very much inspired by It Takes Two, little gadgets and puzzles to solve. I think the game looks great. I really do think it looks really good. It is a Switch 2 exclusive at the start. I think they said like 6-month Switch exclusivity at one point. I might be just pulling that out of my ass. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Switch exclusive for at least the first like 6 months, and it will be available in summer of 2026. So yeah, grab a friend. Switch 2 has the whole like chat function too with the cameras, so it could be fun to go into like a game chat and play with someone else. I think this game is perfectly designed for a system like that. You also kind of would expect this game to be on the PlayStation and Xbox and PC as well. But once again, it is a Switch exclusive. Now, I don't know if it's going to be on PC on the same day. I didn't see anything, and they're obviously not going to say that in the showcase either. But something to think about. But yeah, Switch 2 Orbitals coming in summer. After that, we had I guess it's like a long-running series called Paranormasight. And this one's called The Mermaid's Curse. This is a visual novel set in the coastal region of Ishishima, Japan. This is a standalone story which introduces new locations, supernatural legends, and a new cast of characters to experience and play as you navigate the chilling mysteries surrounding the Mermaid Isles. I'm not really like interested in this one. These visual novels are a big hit in Japan. For me personally, I feel like I have to sneeze. For me personally, these visual novels just aren't really my cup of tea. Now, there are a couple of visual novels that I really like, but at the same time, too, stuff like this just doesn't really catch my eye unless it gets some buzz on its release. But this is going to be coming out on February 19th, 2026. After that, we got Captain Tsubasa 2 World Fighters. This is a soccer game, very much an arcade soccer game, I would say. One of 2 soccer games that were in the direct, which is pretty crazy. 2 soccer games, or football, as you would call it in Europe, and pretty much everywhere else. This is a very stylized kind of football game. It kind of reminds me of obviously it's a more anime Mario Strikers, I would say, but it does have some similar things going on where like characters have abilities and there's like a lot of like action in the game as well. It actually kind of has caught my eye, even though I don't know what Captain Sabusa is. I'm pretty sure it's some sort of anime, right? But this is coming sometime in 2026, and I think it looks pretty good. There's going to be 22 teams and 110 characters to choose from. And I think there's also going to be some sort of like story mode as well in there too. But yeah, it could be kind of fun. I mean, if you're a fan of Mario Strikers or arcade experience, sports experiences, could be something to look forward to. All right, another game called Tokyo Scramble was announced and showed off. I mean, this was a world premiere essentially. This was a pretty moody kind of trailer at first, but then they showed the dinosaurs, and it's kind of an interesting take on a horror survival game. You don't really have too many ways to defend yourself in this game, it looks like, except by using traps. You have like some sort of app on your phone or something like that that can trigger machinery in the area to, I don't know if it's just incapacitating the dinosaurs, but essentially it knocks them out or takes them out for a while. And there's plenty of different variants of the dinosaurs underneath Tokyo. Kind of reminds you of Godzilla from like, what was the Godzilla with Ferris Bueller in it? It wasn't like 1990. Wasn't it like 1995 or something like that? Either way, doesn't matter. Kind of similar to that, where the dinosaurs are underground, Godzilla's babies are underground or whatever. It does support like some weird local and online play where a person controls the camera, a person controls the player, a person controls the traps. There's one other thing that a person controls. There's like 4-player co-op in the game, which is kind of weird. I don't know if this is a Switch exclusive, but it is coming on February 11th, 2026 for $30 digitally, which I think is a bit of a high price for how this game looks. I mean, it's an interesting concept. I'm not going to say that I'm not interested in it, but at the same time, like, the price point's got to come down just a little bit for me to, like, actually invest in it right now. So I'll probably pick it up on a sale. If it comes up on Steam, I might think about it more playing it on Steam. But I like the idea, dinosaurs, underground traps, etc. Could be kind of fun. But also at the same time, it's a little bit silly, and it doesn't look the greatest, like, visually, and it seems to have some really weird cooperative elements, which might be kind of fun. Like, if you're a person who makes content, it might be kind of fun to have, like, 4 of your friends play the game with you and either try and help each other or mess each other up. I don't know. Could be something fun there. But anyway, I'm talking about this game for a little bit too long. Well, once again, this is going to be available February 11th, 2026. Looks like it's going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. Not like, I don't know if it's exclusive, but it's only on the Switch 2, not the Switch 1. That's what I mean. All right, we also have the announcement of Valheim coming to Switch 2, an official Switch 2 edition. This is coming sometime in 2026. If you don't know what Valheim is, it is an open-world crafting survival game where you play as a Viking. And I don't think this game rings any of my bells. I'm not really a big fan of these open world crafting games. I mean, there's a couple that kind of I have fun with, but I'm not like a huge fan of these types of games. Yeah, I mean, the Switch 2 version, I mean, it looks fine. Like, I don't know. Like, there's really not much I can say here. It's nice that it has all the cooperative elements. I think up to like 18 people can be on the same world and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, that's coming in 2026. So if you're excited about that, good for you. I am not. I don't really care about that. Also, Hollow Knight got a Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade or edition. This is something that we kind of knew was going to be happening. It uses the same game cartridge as the Switch 1, so if you own the Switch 1 version or if you own it digitally, you will be able to slot your Switch 1 cartridge into the Switch 2 to get these upgrades all for free, which is really nice. Team Cherry's really good at that kind of stuff. They are very player-friendly, and that is already available. It was available the same day. It was a bit of a shadow drop, so if you have not played Hollow Knight or you maybe didn't finish your run through the game, might be a good idea to boot it back up with these free enhancements for the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, here's the other football game. This is eFootball Kickoff. This is coming in summer of 2026. This is more of a realism type kind of game. This series used to be called PES, Pro Evolution Soccer, but now it's called eFootball, which I really don't like that name, but what are you going to do? So yeah, this is one it's a bit more management style while also having the player control in there as well. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds where it's kind of like Football Manager. It's also kind of like the the FIFA games at the same time. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm not interested in this either, but it's nice for people who are fans of the series and or fans of soccer, aka football. And, the game, I mean, if this is actually switched, I'm going to probably say this a couple times, if this is actually switched to gameplay, it doesn't look bad at all. It doesn't look bad at all. I mean, it's a little bit rough around the edges, especially with the hair, but at the end of the day, it looks pretty good. I'm sure it's going to play pretty well. And, eFootball, kick off. It has an exclamation point in the end, but I'm not going to yell it. Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. I don't know if we had a release date beforehand, but we do have a release date now for the Switch 2 edition at least, which is June 18th, 2026. They didn't really show anything new in the trailer. I think the game still looks fine. It's a 2D, 3D adventure from the same people who did like Octopath Traveler and in that style. And I think that like graphically it looks great. I'm sure the gameplay will be fun with its more action-focused gameplay, real-time action, I should say. I'm sure it will have a good story. But me personally, I don't know if I'm going to, commit the time to play this. But visually it looks good. It sounds good, and I'm sure that people are going to enjoy the game who are fans of the old school like Final Fantasy style, but with a more action pace adventure there. So. Yeah, The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, June 18th, 2026. After that, this is almost like a shadow drop, but I believe the game came out the next day. This is Super Bomberman Collection. This is a collection of pretty much all the original Super Bomberman games up until Super Bomberman 5, I believe. I don't know how many Bomberman games there are now, but yeah, you got Super Bomberman 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this new collection includes a boss rush mode, which will allow you to fight bosses over and over and over again. It also supports some extra features like libraries to skim through, cooperative gameplay, or I guess it's more like action gameplay, right? You're going against other people, PvP gameplay. It'll support up to 3 players via game share if you want to do that. And then I believe it also has the basics of a retro revival with like replay and save states and stuff like that as well. You can also collect over 200 rare pieces from the original Bomberman archive, which is probably a part of that library that I was talking about. So yeah, this is actually available across all consoles and things. It's on Steam, it's on Switch, etc., etc. But this is the first place we heard about it. And I don't know how many people are Bomberman fans or like old school Bomberman fans, but it's nice to see these games get a re-release in the modern era. So if you're curious, there you go. All right, we got to look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the Switch 2 edition. This is coming June 3rd, 2026. Was a lot of gameplay for the trailer, which I thought was pretty nice to see actual gameplay, and the actual gameplay looks pretty good. It doesn't look that much degraded from the PS5 or Xbox version. Obviously, the PC version is going to be a lot better with the type of hardware you're playing on, but honestly, the gameplay doesn't look that bad at all in terms of like it looks pretty stable, no frame rate drops that you can see. Visually, it looks good as well. Even the hair looks good in this trailer, which was kind of cool. So yeah, if this is actual Switch 2 gameplay, looks like people who are fans of the Final Fantasy series, who have not gotten to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth yet, will be eaten well with this port of the game. So there you go. Also, they did reveal that this is a code not a coded box. It's a digital game key card, because the game itself is like 118 gigabytes, and those game key cards are only 64 gigabytes. So there was really nothing they could do about that. But at the end of the day, looks good. I'm sure it'll play well. And if you're a Switch 2 person who has not gotten the Final Fantasy Rebirth game, this might be the place to do it. They also showed off Pragmata, which is coming April 24th, 2026. This is the new, it's like a third-person action game where you have this like android girl on your shoulder, and she hacks the robots that opens them up to being able to be attacked. And this was, once again, if this is Switch 2 gameplay, it looks pretty good. I sound like a broken record, but the hair for the girl in the game, it looks a little bit stiff. That's probably because they had to cut some corners here or there. But, I mean, visually, it doesn't look that bad at all. The reflections, the light sources, the sound effects, like it all I mean, it all looks really good, and that's the one thing that people were worried about the Switch 2 editions of these games. Like, are they going to look as good as the PS5 version? Are they going to look as good as the Xbox version? And I think it's pretty close. Honestly, it's pretty close. But yeah, I think this game looks really cool. It's definitely on my list of games to play, and it kind of showed a bit more of what the game is going to play like in this little segment here. But also, there is a demo available right now across all consoles. So if you want to really see how this game works, that would be the place to do it, of course. But yeah, I mean, it looks good. I'm sure it's going to play pretty well. This is probably another digital game key card, so I don't think it's going to be fully on cartridge. But yeah, I mean, I think even with the minor complaint about the hair being a bit stiff, like it doesn't even look that bad in general. So there you go. That'll be available April 24th. This was a new reveal. Turok is back with Turok Origins. This is coming in fall of 2026. This is a new roguelite or roguelike type game where you play as a Turok guy or girl, and you can team up with like 2 other people to fight across a world of dinosaurs and mutants and blah 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 blah. But essentially, you're just trying to upgrade your character, beat the boss, get to the end of the game, right? It doesn't look too bad. Like once again, Switch 2 gameplay. If it truly is Switch 2 gameplay, it looks pretty good. Light sources, animations, no stuttering that I can see at all. Like good stuff here. Personally, I don't know if this is going to be my type of game, but it could be kind of fun here or there. I guess we'll have to wait and see, more about this game. But right now, like as like a little tease, doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad at all. Probably going to be a pretty fun time. But yeah, Turok Origins. They have rebooted Turok so many times at this point. I still remember when they originally did like a reboot of Turok, and it was like this cartoony art style. It was like a top-down, like I think it was even like turn-based or something like that. And I bought that, and I never played it. But they've tried to redo the Turok series so many times now, and this one actually might stick because it actually looks kind of like the Turok you might know and love. But yeah, once again, fall 2026 for that. A game called Kyoto Xanadu is coming in 2026, summer of 2026. This is a side-scrolling anime adventure. As a student, players are challenged the labyrinth and grow through their battles within Xanadu, while also deepening bonds with various people during your daily life. So it kind of reminds me of Persona in a way, where it's like you have a school setting and you have these relationships you build with other people, and then you go into like this world where there's like a bunch of things to fight. It looks like there's some third-person action segments as well. So there's 2D segments and third-person action segments. I honestly don't even remember this being in the direct at all. I probably just kind of zoned out during this one, but I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but it's not really my cup of tea. So there you go. Kyoto Xanadu coming 2026 to both Switch 1 and 2. Digimon Storytime Stranger. This came out last year, but it is going to be released on Switch 1 and 2 on July 10th, 2026. They said that there is plenty of upgrades for the Switch 2 edition. You can actually just take a Switch 1 cartridge and put it into the Switch 2. I'm thinking that they're only going to do a Switch 1 version of like the cartridge, and then they'll allow you to kind of switch it between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 at your leisure. Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty, if I remember correctly from Nomad Eric, friend of the channel, talking about this game, seemed like a pretty good Digimon game. Has a lot to do in it. You get your bang for your buck in there. And on the Switch 2, doesn't look too bad. I don't know how the Switch 1 version looks because I'm pretty sure they're using Switch 2 footage here. But at the end of the day, a nice get for the Switch community. A game called Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok is coming to the Switch 2 on July 9th, 2026. You'll embark on an epic journey in the Sky Realm. It's a visually stunning action RPG where players will journey across a diverse cast of allies, exploring breathtaking floating islands and battling beautiful foes with over 20 playable characters. Up to 4 people can team up locally or online for multiplayer action. Once again, another game that looks decent. I'm just not really super interested in this one. But yeah, that's coming July 9th this year. Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection. This is coming to Switch 2 on March 13th, 2026. There is a demo available right now on the Nintendo eShop. Monster Hunter Stories, these are the Switch exclusive games for the system. And these story games, if I remember right from some people who've talked about them in the past, they aren't like the normal Monster Hunter games where you go out, you battle a monster, and then you kill it, right? It seems more like a Pokemon type thing where you go out and fight the monsters, but then you capture them and use them with your character. So, watch out. They might get sued by Nintendo here in the future. But the pre-orders are available now. If you pre-order the game, you get the layered armor for Eleanor Sky Scale Queen set. All right. There's also Amiibo coming out for the game. Ratha 5, and Rudy Amiibo. Also, the deluxe edition will come with the layered armor for Rangers set, Monster Hair, a side story featuring Rudy, and a bunch of different Rudy outfits. There's also going to be a DLC pack available, possibly day one, for another armor set for your Rangers, more Monster Hair, and more Rudy outfits. So if you just don't have enough outfits to wear, there you go. There's a whole bunch more there. So like I said, there's a demo available right now for this game. Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflections, coming March 13th. All right, the Arcade Archives series is giving us Rave Racer. This is coming out February 26th. It's kind of what the name of it kind of says it all. They also revealed that the new series called Console Archives is going to be booting up on February 5th with a couple of games here coming out right away. We have Console Archives Cool Borders and Console Archives Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos. Both those games releasing on February 5th, so they're actually available right now. The Console Archives is like a new thing. So Arcade Archives is arcade games, like games that were available on arcade cabinets. Console Archives are obviously games that released on consoles, home consoles. So this is a new series for the console, the Archives distributors, I guess you could call them. I think that these archives things are a bit pricey. A lot of them are a bit more than I'm willing to spend for the games. But at the end of the day, I think it's nice that we're getting these games back and that we're able to buy and play them. On a side note here, there are 10 games that they announced after the Direct that are going to be coming soon. So we also have Doraemon, which came out on the Hudson 8-bit, Nobunaga's Ambition from the Koi 8-bit, Mag Max, which released on the Nichi Butsu, Sonic Wings Special Edition, which released on the Video System, Desamon Plus, which released on the Atena, Rhapsody, a musical adventure, which released on the Nippon Ichi Software, Master of Monsters, Disciples of Gaia, which released on the Toshima Emmy, Monster Rancher Hop About, which released on the Tecmo, and UFO A Day in the Life, which released on the ASCII or ASC2. A lot of these consoles are foreign to me, which is kind of crazy. So once again, it's a good thing that they are re-releasing these games, getting them back out into the public. I think it's very nice that they're doing those. Once again, they're just a bit pricey, so I usually wait for a sale for these games, but still pretty cool indeed. After that was the Partner Spotlight Sizzle Reel. A couple of games shown off here with release dates. We had Scott Pilgrim EX coming March 3rd, another Eden Begins coming summer of 2026, Reanimal coming February 13th, WWE 2K26 coming 13th of March, Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown coming February 18th, Disney Dreamlight Valley Nintendo Switch 2 Edition coming March 25th, PGA Tour 2K25 coming to the Switch 2 on February 6th, Culptec Begins, Culdcept Begins coming July 16th. Goat Simulator 3, which looked really rough in my opinion in the sizzle reel. That's coming April 1st, of course. When else would it release that? Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun coming March 18th, and Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn Edition coming May 22nd to Switch 2 as well. After that, we had a nice showcase for Resident Evil Requiem, and the funny thing about this showcase is that they couldn't show blood or gore or anything like that. They had to cut away from the action and or intentionally miss their shots, which was a bit infuriating watching, but I guess it's understandable because Nintendo didn't want to age restrict the gameplay there. Yeah, this is like I believe this is the first of the Resident Evil games that allows you to switch between first person and third person without a later update. So it's nice for people who like first person as opposed to the third person stuff. I feel like with this game, the part where you're playing as Grace will be better in first person, and the part where you're playing as Leon was probably going to be better in third person, I would say. But this was all, if this was Switch 2 gameplay, once again, looks really good, looks really clean. Once again, the hair looks a bit stiff, looks a bit last gen, I would say. But in general, I think the game looks really well, especially running on a Switch 2. And yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for this game. This is coming February 27th. I'm not getting it on Switch 2, of course, but I will be getting it on PlayStation 5. And yeah, I'm just really excited to play this. I think it's going to be a really good Resident Evil game, and I think it's gonna be a hit. I really do. Also available on February 27th, as we already know, Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition and Resident Evil Village Gold Edition will be both available as well if you want to catch up with what was happening with Resident Evil. And we already knew this as well. The controller, the PlayStation, the Switch Pro controller, that'll be out the same day as well. And just announced in summer of 2026, there are 2 amiibos coming out, one for Leon and one for Grace. Does that mean they're joining Smash in the future? I guess we'll find out. But it looks like the amiibo gives you a special gun, a weapon skin in the game. So if you touch the NFCs onto the Switch, you get a new skin for your weapon, which is fine. It's fine. And then they had one more thing, which was Todd Howard coming onto the screen in a bit of a jump scare moment. Todd Howard, here he is. And he announced that 3 Bethesda games are coming to the system. First off, Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition. This is coming February 24th. This will be a game key. Actually, it's not even going to be a game key cartridge. It's going to be a code in a box for this. So this is actually like the first Fallout game, I think, to come to a Nintendo console, if I'm not mistaken, because the Switch 1 didn't have any Fallout games. Maybe it had Fallout 76. I can't remember, though. Either way, this is a pretty... I mean, look, it's an older game. I get it. It's an older game, but it's also a pretty good get for Switch 2, being able to play it portably and whatnot. I know it's already available on Steam Deck, but there you go. Also, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This is coming May 12th to Switch 2. And they did confirm that it will be fully on cartridge, so you don't need to worry about... game key cards or codes in a box. This one will actually be on cartridge, and I believe the DLC will be available to purchase day 1 as well. That has come out for the game. You can pre-order that right now. That's coming May 12th, 2026. And then finally, they showed Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is coming to Switch 2. Once again, this is going to be a code in a box. But once again, if we're looking at Switch 2 gameplay footage, it looks pretty good for the Switch 2. And I think that these are pretty nice gets. I mean, especially Oblivion, because that game just released last year. I mean, it's not even a year old at this point. So I think that's a really nice get for the Switch 2 community. But yeah, there you go, and that was pretty much the end. That was pretty much the end. I don't think that this was the greatest partner showcase ever, but I also don't think it was like a bad showcase. I think it was relatively good. I would if I was gonna grade this one, it'd be like a C plus, maybe a low B minus, but I think a C is a pretty good spot for this one. It doesn't have the flashiest reveals ever, or whatever. But if you are a person who is a Switch 2 owner and you only own a Switch, or maybe you own a Switch in a PC, maybe a lower end PC, I think this is gonna be a very exciting direct for you, because there's a lot of cool things coming out for the Switch 2 that we wouldn't have gotten on Switch 1. There's plenty of things we wouldn't have gotten on Switch 1 unless it was like a cloud port or something like that. And there's a lot of games that they showed off here, a lot of different genres, a lot of different art styles, a lot of different stuff going on. So yeah, I think It was decent. It was decent. Not the best thing ever, but it was decent. And I mean, there are rumors that there's going to be a full-blown Nintendo Direct either next week or the week after. And the same thing happened, I believe, last year. There was like a partner showcase, and then there was a Nintendo Direct like a week or two later. So I think we'll get some pretty big reveals at the next Nintendo Direct, whenever that one is. Mostly because we really haven't had any news about what's coming out in the later parts of this year from Nintendo. We know that Mario Fever is coming out soon, and we know that Tomodachi Life is coming out, and we know a couple of games here and there, but there's a pretty big slate of games that we're kind of missing. So I think keep your eyes open for that. I think the next Nintendo Direct, like the official Nintendo Direct, is going to be very exciting. But for a partner Direct, this wasn't terrible. It just kind of was a lot of rehashing and older games or games we have known about coming to the system. But at the end of the day, once again, if you're a Switch 2 owner and you don't have other consoles, it could be pretty exciting. So just some food for thought there. Thought I might as well say my piece while I'm here. Yeah, there you go. That is the Nintendo Switch 2 Partner Direct. Let's move on. All right, Overwatch 2 is ditching the number 2, it's kind of crazy. We're just going back. We're going back. So on February 10th, which is next week, or if you're watching this on Monday this week, Overwatch will be dropping the 2 from its name, and it will just be called Overwatch again. And along with this new update, they're starting off with a new Season 1. So we're back to Season 1 now, and there will be 5... there'll be more than 5 heroes added to the game eventually, but the 5 heroes that they revealed right now are Domina, who is a tank who focuses on long-range attacks and zone play. Emery, who is a damage dealer who focuses on fast run-and-gun gameplay. Mizuki, who is a support unit who is mysterious and focused on close-quarters combat. Anran is a damage dealer who can manipulate fire with fan-like weapons. And then there's Jetpack Cat, who is a support unit, and it's a cat. It's a fast and reactive support cat, which is kind of interesting. There's been some controversy around one of the characters, the one with the fans. Apparently she has the same face, just with different eyeliner, as another character that released last year, which was Juno, which is a little bit lazy if that is true, and it does look true from the images. There's also another character who kind of reminds me of the mushroom guy from Battleborn. And you know me, I love to talk about Battleborn every chance I get, because it's a bit of a lost game, but it does. His character kind of reminds me of that. I believe he has like little shuriken that he throws at as well. So it's very reminiscent of Battleborn, I would say. So yeah, I mean, there looks like there's some other changes coming as well. I think there was something that somewhere said that they were bringing back loot boxes, but I'm not sure about that. At the end of the day, though, it's like this whole Overwatch ride has been goofy. Like the original game, what we would know as Overwatch was changed into Overwatch 2. It had a bit of a mixed reception. They didn't fulfill promises that they had with this version of the game, and now they're dropping off the 2 to make it Overwatch again. Maybe to try and get the branding back into better light. I don't know. But it's so weird. And I mean, down the road, will we get another Overwatch 2 eventually? I don't think so. But this is just so weird. It's very, very weird. So yeah, Overwatch is now Overwatch again. All right, so some controversy from the past week. The Switch 2 or Switch 1 and 2 edition of Dispatch was censored pretty heavily. No nudity in the game, just a lot of like extra things done to it to make it not really the true Dispatch experience, which is kind of disappointing if you're a Switch person on Switch. Apparently, now I didn't really look at the marketing for this game because I already owned it, but apparently they did not enclose in the trailers and stuff like that these changes would be made, that the game would be essentially censored. And this was something that was a pretty big like controversy around the internet for a couple days there. And there was a lot of back and forth with the developer of the game, and people giving doing interviews, and apparently they like changed it because there's some imaginary, not imaginary, but there's some rules that you need to follow for Nintendo releases, but at the same time, like Cyberpunk had full boobs and dong out throughout that game, and that was a launch game for the Switch too as well, and they didn't have to censor anything, but for some reason, like they felt like the people behind Dispatch felt like they needed to follow the guidelines a bit more closely. It's really up in the air what exactly happened, but I think the main thing that people are pissed about is the fact that they didn't disclose that these changes were made to this version of the game and only this version of the game, and there is no way to uncensor the game. It's censored only. There is no option to take the clothes off the characters. So I know it sounds weird, but no way to uncensor it. So at the end of the day, I feel like it is a bit of a it's just a bit shady to really not disclose those things. And I think a lot of people, if they had known that the game was going to be changed like this, I mean, however you feel about it, it is a change in the game that you don't expect until you boot it up, right? Apparently there was like some like censored content, like warning or whatever, in one of the trailers. I'm not going to look into that because, look, it's in the fine print within the fine print. That's not good enough, especially when you're selling a game like this that got so much praise last year. I mean, it was on my top 10 list from last year, and a lot of people were really excited for this Switch 2 edition of the game to launch. A lot of people waiting to play it because they have Switch 2s and they want to play the game. And yeah, it's not the same game that they were sold last year, or they were sold about last year. So it's kind of a weird thing here, but at least the developers behind the game admit, like, yeah, people have the right to be pissed about this, and maybe they'll do like an update eventually in the future, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Okay, PlayStation and Sony have finally confirmed Horizon Hunter's Gathering, which is a new game in the Horizon universe. It's a co-op, like, extraction, I don't know if it's extraction brawler type game. It kind of reminded me a bit of Night Rain in a lot of ways, where you go out, you fight enemies and bosses, and you get upgrades, and you find loot and stuff like that. And then, if you die, you lose everything. You got to restart again from square one. The gameplay looks fine. Like, I'm not going to sit here and praise it, but I'm also not going to sit here and shit on it until I've actually gotten the game in my hands. Also, the graphics of the game, it's such a far cry from what Horizon was. I mean, we already had the Lego Horizon game just kind of be like this really weird, like, offshoot. Like, the Horizon series is not really known for its jokes and quirkiness. Like, it really is. Like, of course, there's comedic characters because it's a big RPG game. Like, there's going to be a variety of characters there, but at the same time, like, Horizon is kind of known as like this. It's a pretty serious, kind of gritty kind of game, and we have these two spin-offs now. Now, who knows what the phone game is going to look like? We have these two spin-offs, Lego Horizon and now this Horizon Hunter's Gathering game, that are very jovial. They're very goofy. They got really expressive characters and like all this like weird shit going on. And it's just weird how the Horizon series is kind of going like this really weird direction, and it's going to be a lot of whiplash when eventually a Horizon 3 or whatever they're going to call the game comes out and goes back to that more serious tone. I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I think the game could be fun, especially if it's a free to play game. It could be fun to team up with people and play a couple rounds, kind of like you did with Night Rain. You do a couple rounds to beat a couple bosses, feel good about yourself. But at the same time, like, I just don't know. This one's just not speaking to me, and I think, like, the game looks fine at the end of the day. Like, I'm not going to really judge it right now off of this bit of gameplay we've gotten. But, it just seems like it's kind of going off of the battle royale kind of genre. It's got all these different elements from that, where it's like, okay, fighting smaller enemies. I'm sorry, battle royale that Night Rain did. It's kind of going off of that like idea there. And even though the games could have been worked on in tandem, it's not like they stole the ideas from Night Rain, but it's very Night Rain-esque, where you have like this enclosing circle, this area that you're exploring, smaller enemies you fight, get loot, and then fight the big bad boss right at the middle of the circle. But maybe I'm going to try and do a bit of a positive spin here. Maybe it could be fun. Maybe it's not going to be annoying like I'm guessing it's going to be with the characters. There's also apparently going to be a story mode in there, so that could be kind of interesting if they do a story with each of the characters. That could be kind of fun. It could be fun to play with your friends and stuff like that too. Like it could be a fun little co-op game as well. So I'm not like out on the game, but I'm also not like sold on it yet. I want to see more about this. I want to see actual gameplay. I want to see a whole round of this game before I commit money to it, right? Or if it's a free-to-play game, then boom, I don't even need to worry about that. But I don't think it's going to be free-to-play. I think it is going to be a digital-only game, though, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, at the end of the day, this Horizon Hunters Gathering, yeah, it's not sold me yet, and I'm hoping that with some extra gameplay or maybe having like a demo, I'll want to play it more. But as of right now, it just doesn't really seem like something that I personally want from the Horizon series. I mean, after Lego Horizons, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with like spin-offs of these Horizon games because that was not good. That was like worse than regular Lego games. If you're a Lego hater, that one was like the worst of a Lego game. And you can go back and listen to that review back a couple years ago now on the podcast. But yeah, it was just not like, it was not good. Even for a Lego game, it was just really not good. Like graphically it looked amazing, but the story and like the level design and stuff like that just was not good. It was not good at all. Anyway, that is supposed to be coming out like I think in summer of 2026 or at least 2026 sometime. So we'll have to wait and see for more information about that. Poker Night at the Inventory is being re-released on March 5th. This is a remaster of the original game where you have these characters from franchises or games that you know of. So there is Max from Sam and Max, Strong Bad from Homestar Runner, Tycho from Penny Arcade, and The Heavy from Team Fortress 2. And now originally this game was developed and released by Telltale Games in 2010 and was delisted, as I said, in 2019. But now there's a new version of the game coming to Switch and other platforms on March 5th, which is very exciting because I think this game is one of those ones that was like, you kind of had to be there for it, and there's a lot of like little compilations of like character interactions on YouTube and stuff like that, and it's all very funny and very lovingly done. Now, with this remaster coming out, people are like, well, what's a modern day like poker night we could that we could envision? And there was a lot of good things coming around, like Ichiban from the Like a Dragon series, or you could even have like some like characters like Kratos, but I feel like it would be more like general characters, like Steam release characters. But at the end of the day, like a lot of good ideas going around with that. I'm not going to sit here and waffle on about it, but I will definitely be picking this one up. I'm hoping that it's going to get like a physical edition for Switch or PlayStation. I think that'd be nice. Yeah, I mean, once again, like these are characters who are kind of like, I mean, the Heavy is still pretty apparent in popular media, but like I mean, Max is also obviously a big character too, but I don't even remember who Strong Bad is or Tycho from Penny Arcade. Like I don't know who these characters are, so it's nice to also get another glimpse at these characters coming back. So there you go. What's it called? Poker Night at the Inventory Remastered. That is coming March 6th. Or 5th. I'm sorry, March 5th. March 5th. Okay, MLB The Show 26 showed off a lot of gameplay and all that stuff. I mean, we get one of these pretty much every year. Actually, every year. And they don't seem to change too much, in my opinion. Like, I play the ones that come to PlayStation Plus Essentials tier. I usually play them a little bit at least. Character animations, and I like honestly I don't even think I hate to sound like a snob here, but I don't even really think the graphics look that great in actuality, like when you're playing the game either, like especially for like any of the story mode stuff either. Like it's just one of those things where it's like I have a higher expectation for these kind of simulation sports games, and there's just like they're going the Madden route here where it's like, okay, I mean the games look fine, like they look good, but they're not like the best looking game on the PlayStation, and the story mode is always, or not the story mode, but like the legend mode or whatever they're going to call it, they're usually half-assed and stuff like that. Also, I could just be a hater because I'm not really that good at baseball games. Just ask Greedy Waffles. But pre-orders are available now. Early access starts on March 13th, I believe, for like the digital deluxe edition, and then the main game launches on March 17th. There will also be college teams, 11 new college teams represented here. There will be the NCAA Men's College World Series format with brackets as well. There's a new mode called Road to Cooperstown, which will have you start from high school and build your legacy. There's the Diamond Dynasty mode, which will have some new features like World Baseball Classic content and an overhaul to mini seasons. Yeah, I mean, it's a baseball game. It's a baseball game. The one thing about the game, too, is they've added some new stadiums, which I think is really cool. They've added the Tokyo Dome, the Hiram Bithorn, and the Terrapin Park. Now, I know baseball is actually pretty big in Japan, so it'd be kind of cool to see more Japanese teams make it onto the MLB. I think that'd be kind of cool. They also revealed who the cover star is going to be, and they are Aaron Judge, who will be the cover star here. I don't know who he is. He's on Team USA, so maybe he's like an Olympic athlete. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. All right, some distressing news for people who have been waiting for Borderlands 4 on the Switch 2. Development for the game has paused, and it could be delayed for quite some time. They want to deliver the best possible experience on Nintendo's next-gen system, but Take-Two has decided to put a pause on the development of the Switch 2 port for the game. Now, this is a difficult decision, as they always say, to pause development, but the team at Gearbox is insisting that they're focused on delivering a quality post-launch content for players on the ongoing improvements to optimize the game. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and split hairs, but why are we worrying about the post-launch content when we should be worrying about the base game here? Unless you're taking people off of the Switch 2 port to work on post-game content for the game that's already been released on PlayStation and Xbox and PC, which is kind of shitty for all those people who have been waiting for a Switch 2 version. I mean, they canceled pre-orders for the Switch 2 version not too long ago as well, so it's just very weird. It's also weird that they're releasing like these, the golf game and the WWE game are coming out soon, as we just got from the Nintendo Direct. So it's like, are you taking people off of Borderlands 4 to work on those games too? Like, it's very strange, and we haven't really seen something like this where a port for a game is just taking so much longer than the regular version of the game, and it's taking so long, in fact, that they've put a pause on it, an indefinite pause on the game. So yeah, just a very strange moment here, and honestly, I would not be shocked if the game was canceled for the Switch 2. They just run into too many problems for whatever reason. I mean, so many other companies are able to put games onto Switch 2, no problem. It doesn't make any sense that like Gearbox is the one that is falling behind here. I don't know. All right, so we are at the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, as you all know, and Pokemon just revealed or teased a pinball machine they can actually buy from Stern Pinball. Now, they didn't show what the arcade or the pinball machine looks like. It just, the teaser was literally just a pinball ball rolling down an alley. But this is going to be available. There's going to be a pro model, which will be $7,000, a premium model for almost $10,000, and a highly collectible limited edition version for $13,000, which will be limited to 750 units globally. So this is the true collector's item for the true Pokemon fan, I suppose. Not sure when the pre-orders for this are going to be going live on sternpinball.com, but there is going to be more revealed later this month on February 27th. I believe there's also going to be a Pokemon Presents on that same day as well. And we'll see if they reveal like the look of the pinball machine and when and where you can pre-order it. I don't know much about Stern Pinball, but hopefully they do good work on these machines. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very excited about this, and they're going to go and pick it up. I'm not going to be one of those people because I don't have $7,000 to just throw away, you know. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be cool, but how many people are going to be like, I bought one of the 750 units and no one can play it. It's going to sit in my fucking basement and collect dust and no one will be able to play it. I'm going to make a fortune off of this thing. Like, are scalpers going to buy up these too? I don't know. I'm guessing they will because I think these are going to be pretty sought after, especially that 750, limited unit. But at the end of the day, too, it's like the average consumer, like me, and probably most of you watching, unless you're a CEO, are not going, I think I could spare the $13,000 for one of those limited edition consoles, or not consoles, but pinball machines. You know what I mean? So anyway, we'll probably hear more about that later this month. All right, it's not often that I talk about MindsEye, but there has been a significant update to the game which just arrived across multiple consoles and PC. This was rated as one of the worst games of 2025, and the developers behind the game at Build a Rocket Boy are hell-bent on fixing this game. They actually moved away from IO Interactive, who was their publisher, and they said, no, we're going to work on this game, we're going to fix this game, which is very admirable, very admirable indeed. There's a lot of improvements to mission design. A lot of specific campaign missions have been given added guidance to the missions, and a lot of missions have been fixed or given better attributes to them. They also increased NPC health across the board for less mission failures due to a friendly NPC dying. They addressed a lot of audio feedback, audio issues, and they improved ambiance sound effects, adding score and music to several cinematics, which is good. They improved UI for across the board for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. They improved the visuals. They improved the animations. They have tons of bug fixes here as well. They also fixed some performance issues as well inside of the Silva Factory interior. Very nice. I think this is. I shouldn't say I think. I hope that this is a comeback story, much like Cyberpunk, much like Sea of Thieves even was a bit of a comeback story too. Like, I do really want to see all games that are not AI made succeed. And this game had a very rocky launch, obviously. I think it had a very rocky lead up to that launch as well, because there was a lot of people who got early copies and were like, yeah, this is kind of like shitty. And then that, of course, affects a lot of the sales of the game. And I think also like the CEO or whoever was, there was a quote from like a guy who was like, I think he was talking about this game where he was one of the developers or something like that, where they were like, yeah, those negative reviews from these people who don't know anything about games, like it's just a bandwagon thing. It's like, I'm sure there is a portion of that is kind of a bandwagon thing, much like I talked about with High Guard last week. But also, like, the writing's on the wall. It's like right in front of you. The game just I've seen plenty of gameplay of this. I've watched reviews of it. There's a lot wrong with this game, but I'm hoping that they can turn this around, fix it, and maybe in the future they can put out like a DLC pack or a re-release of the game in some form, and really turn it around, because I think that there was a lot there. Obviously, there was a lot of passion behind this game. It was made by one of the leads of Grand Theft Auto, and you could tell that there was a vision here that they wanted to achieve, but they just didn't achieve that. And once again, like I'm excited that they are continue to work on the game, even if their parent company's like, well, we just want you to let it die. I'm glad that they have the passion to go back, rework parts of the game, and get out these updates. Because a lot of companies, they would just, or developers, I guess, they would just go, oh, that flopped, let's move on to the next thing, or oh, that flopped, let's all shut down, So this could generate more sales for the game if they do fix it. What they need right now is to fix enough of the game that a YouTuber, like a bigger YouTuber or something like that, goes back and plays it and does a big video on it. I think that's going to be the main thing that really gets this back in the zeitgeist. But as of right now, I think a lot of people are still a bit leery about picking it up. Me personally, I would say I'm still a bit leery. Actually, back when it was coming out, I actually canceled my pre-order because there was just so much animosity going around, so much like stuff like pre-release, like stuff where you get like, oh, I got the early copy of this game and it sucks, like a lot of stuff. Like, it's not like that, but kind of like that. So anyway, MindsEye, big update to people who own the game. Might be time to go back and play it. Maybe. And finally for today, Netflix is ending its support for the PS3. I know. Don't cry. I know. So on March 2nd, the Netflix app on the PS3 will no longer be available on the device. I don't believe you can download it from the like PlayStation Store anymore. But there is a message now that's popping up on people's Netflix app if you're still using the PS3 for Netflix that will say that it will no longer be available on March 2nd. 20 years on the console isn't too bad. I think that's longer than the Wii had its app. But at the same time, too, like, who's really using a PS3 for Netflix anymore? This seems like this feels like another moment where it's like, okay, they're kind of cutting their losses. They're saying, well, we're using like server power or memory power or whatever kind of power. Or maybe they're paying a fee to keep it up on Netflix on PS3. They're cutting their losses by saying, okay, maybe there's only like 1,000 people using the app on PlayStation 3 right now. If we cut those people, it's going to save us money in the long run, which sucks for the people who do own a PS3 and Vita, who have the Netflix app installed. But at the same time, too, it's like, it's just one of those things where it's at the end of its lifespan. I mean, the PS3 has been out of date for, how long now? 10, 15 years. So, it's one of those things where it's like it lasted longer than you would expect it to, which is nice. And yeah, I think that it had a good run. And use up those remaining time you have with Netflix. I don't think this is the scenario where it's like, oh, we're gonna save the app on Netflix on PS3. I don't think anyone's gonna really rally behind that one. But also too, it's like, if you do still use your PS3 for Netflix, or maybe you have like an account that you've linked to, like it was your partner's old account and like they moved on, and it's like, I still want to watch stuff on Netflix and they don't know that I have this PS3 version of Netflix and I don't have the password anymore and this one's still logged in, like something like that. Like, end of an era, I suppose, But Netflix is going bye-bye on PS3. Okay, folks, thank you so much for listening and or watching this episode of the podcast. Very much do appreciate you. I am still working on Film Freaks with a Z. The latest episode was about The Transporter from 2002. If you want to check that out, that just came out. Everything else is all at Yemmy the Ferret. Like I said, I do plan on doing a stream maybe here or there while things are happening. So if you want more information on that or updates on that or updates for that, just join the Discord, link in the description below of every video, just to get updates for that stuff. I do plan on being back in a full capacity by March, hopefully. And I got a lot of cool things in my head that I want to do with not just streaming, but also this podcast as well. So very much appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm out of here. So long. The Ferret64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Sound clips included during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The Ferret64 logo was made by Player2P2. The intro and outro music was made by Gail Laliot on Fiverr. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions are my own. Thank you for listening.